runners, you know me.
I own a contest prep and diet coaching business as well, Ahlstrom Fitness Consulting, along with my wife Vicki. Vicki's a bikini competitor and soon-to-be figure competitor. I'm also a part owner of Beyond Driven Gear, fitness clothing and supplement. I partner with Brian Ahlstrom from Council Bluffs and that. We have a booth tomorrow if you guys want to check us out. We'll have some protein samples and some clothing. I competed this year 3 times. First of all, winning the NGA Pro Flamingo in Miami, Florida. Placing 5th in the PNBA Natural Universe. And then 3rd in the IFPA Pro International Lightweight class. I was lucky enough to compete with some of the best in the world this year. Justin Figuera, Michael Waddington, Ryan Doris, Cleveland Thomas, Yorton Cup World Champ, and Moji Alua, who also won his weight class at the Yorton Cup. So that's kind of me and my year in a nutshell. It's been a blessing to be in this sport. Absolutely love the IFPA, the NANBF, and also into contest prep coaching. In my career, I've been able to work with some of the best prep coaches in the world: Lane Norton, Alberto Nunez, Jeff Alberts, and Cliff Wilson. Cliff did my prep this year, so it was awesome. Love working with Cliff. Tonight I'm going to talk about some do's and don'ts during contest prep. Be great for some of you new competitors. Who's doing their first show? Anybody? Okay, perfect. I'm going to start off by saying there's no 100% correct way to do anything, especially getting into contest prep shape, and peaking for a show. There's many ways to get your top level conditioning. However, through trial, error, and things I've learned that there's easier ways, both mentally and physically. And I think often neglected is your mental approach, your mental well-being. So I try to keep people upbeat and positive and having a good state of mind through prep. Kind of my philosophy is going to be a lot like Cliff and John Gorman. Believe in moderate protein, high carbohydrates, moderate fat diets. With all of us, carbohydrate timing is a key component of what we do. I believe in eating as much as possible while still shedding fat, keeping your carbs as high as possible while still losing fat. I like to eat. I'm 6-7 weeks out, and I like to eat too. I probably should stay in better shape, but I like food. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about a little bit, is trying to eat as much as possible while still losing, your 1 to 2 pounds of fat a week, which is the safest way to lose and take your time in a prep. I often use this analogy when I communicate with clients and making changes. If you start with your calories too low or your cardio too high, you have no room to make changes once you plateau, because you will plateau in your diet. It's just at some point you will. You'll struggle. So if you start with calories too low and cardio too high, you essentially will hinder your progress later in your prep, and you risk damaging your metabolism permanently, which is what Cliff's going to talk about. And I always tell my clients, you think of this as a gunfight. If you have a pistol, you don't start shooting your enemy from 1,000 yards away. You want to wait until they're in close range to fire. So you think about keeping bullets in your gun until they're at close range, and then you fire off your 6 bullets, whatever you have left in your tank. I mean, if your food's high, you can take your food down. Because essentially, once you do plateau, there's 2 things you can do. You can do more cardio, or you can eat less food. It's that simple. So, and don't get me wrong, prep's never going to be easy. You're going to hit a road where life takes over, you have a hard time, you're mentally exhausted, and the leaner you get, the harder prep is, period. So I think all of our approach is to try to make it as easy as possible for as long as possible. And when you get to a certain level of body fat, it'll even hurt to get off your couch. It's hard to move. I'm sure some of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Everything hurts. That being said, like I said, the goal here is to try to make it easier for you. And I'm just going to highlight some bullet points. I got a sheet up here that everybody can grab as you leave if you'd like to. Basically, it's do's and don'ts. I'm going to go through some things to do that will help you. First of all, diet slow, be patient. Aim to lose 1 to 2 pounds of fat per week. I suggest with most people it's 20 weeks plus for your diet. Obviously, the leaner you are, you might take a little bit off of that, and don't focus solely on the scale. I know I talked about 1 to 2 pounds, but there might be situations where you're not losing much weight, but your body comp is changing. So that goes into taking pictures of yourself. Weekly, bi-weekly, make sure if you're not working with a coach, be subjective, have someone else look at your pictures, your progress pictures. Another thing is to utilize refeeds or clean carb bumps. I prefer 1 to 2 times a week, just depending on the individual. We try to set refeeds or carb bumps on days where they train weaker body parts, or days they'll have a more high intense training day. A lot of them are legs back. There's not many people that couldn't use the carbs on their leg day. Like I said, keep detailed logs and records regarding your food and training. This really helps next time you prep. Be consistent, write things down, make sure you log everything. And that goes into weigh and log all foods. Do not guess or estimate. You want to be able to follow your macronutrients, log everything, know exactly what you're bringing in, so that it's easy when you have to, like I talked earlier about, if you hit a plateau, you're going to have to make changes. Make sure you know what you're bringing in exactly. Weigh it, know your macronutrients. I talked about taking progress photos weekly and bi-weekly. I can tell you if you work with a coach, one of us, you're going to send pictures in. Lots of pictures. I've sent lots of pictures in since 2006. So there'll be pictures show week, show morning. You'll be in Florida texting Cliff Wilson pictures.
I still owe Vicky an apology for having to take so many pictures.
At 4 o'clock in the morning when I was waking up. Then I was taking pictures with my laptop with the camera and having a 3-second delay and trying to email the Cliff. And it makes it fun though. It makes it all worth it. Another thing that I encourage is try to center 50 to 60% of your daily carb intake around your workouts. I'm a big believer in carb timing. Slower digesting and slower acting carbs 1 to 2 hours before you train. Faster acting post-workout. You want sugars post-workout, intra-workout. Things that will hit your system, replenish your glycogen quickly. I encourage you to consume at least 1 serving of fruit and vegetables each per day. Make sure your fiber intake is at least 25 grams per day. Once you're eating less, you want to make sure your fiber is high. You want to stay regular. That's things you run into as you diet, being bloated and feeling like crap. So try to keep your fiber up. No pun intended. Keep your fluid high, 1 to 2 gallons a day. That helps with everything. As far as cardio, I like to use a combination of MISS, moderate intense steady state cardio, and HIIT, which is high intense steady state, a lot of sprinting, and I'd say max of HIIT, 2 times a week generally is effective on your off days, because it's going to take a lot of your energy, especially as you get leaner. It's going to be even tougher. We talked a lot about posing before, but I'm a big believer in practice posing. I dieted this year for 27 weeks. There wasn't a day in 27 weeks that I didn't pose, period. You work super hard in your prep. You don't want to go up on stage not prepared in that, with your posing, with your color, everything. Make sure you handle your presentation. Now, I would say as a minimum, start posing 8 weeks out daily and increase your duration, because you will have situations where you might, tomorrow, if anybody's in the short, tall class, men, you're probably going to be on stage for a long time posing, I would say. I can tell you myself this year, we're at the PBA Natural Universe, we were on stage for 45 minutes. So you want to be conditioned. You don't want to, because the judges are looking at you the whole time. And if they look at you once and you're being compared to another person, and you start to shake just when they glance at you and they look up and he looks great, you just fell a spot, period. So practice posing. Videotaping yourself works great. I mean, that works great for girls, guys, everybody. Your T-walks, everything. Be able to look at yourself. It'll help you a ton. Make sure you keep your workouts intense throughout your entire prep. You can decrease your volume or your duration of working out, but make sure you keep your intensity high. That's key to keeping your muscle through prep, and you're gonna feel zapped on energy. So try to keep your intensity. If you only can get in the gym for 30 minutes and work out hard those 30 minutes, Make sure you maximize those 30 minutes. On show day, make sure you relax, have fun, and enjoy the show. I can tell you right now, things are going to happen that are out of your control. The show's going to go slow. You're not going to know when you're going to go on stage. Don't freak out about it because you cannot control it. Make sure you get your food, your water, and you have everything that you can control ready to go. That's key. So basically you focus on doing your job, the things that you can control. Off season, when your show's done on Saturday night and Sunday, you can enjoy Sunday, but try not to go too crazy with your diet. John's going to talk about reverse dieting. I think that's key. It's hard to do. I think reverse dieting out of a show is harder than contest prepping, in my opinion. You really have no show to prepare for, but you've got to slowly introduce food back into your system, let your metabolism catch back up. And into that, in the off season, I'm a big believer in anybody that works with me. I'm going to push your carb ceiling as high as possible. Try to get you to eat as much as possible slowly. It'll help you in your next prep. A lot of people undereat. So the higher your food is when you start, you have building blocks higher you can chip away. So then, I can tell you I've had clients as men that never drop below 200 grams of carbs their entire prep. I think you've had one that was 300. So, and those guys are the guys that build their carbs up in the off season, are smart about their diet. Things that you do not want to do: cardio. Don't overdo cardio. Start low and gradually add in cardio as needed. In the end, you may be doing a lot of cardio. You might be doing cardio 2 times a day. Maybe you got to crunch it in the last few weeks, but your body can handle that in a temporary situation. You'll do permanent damage if you do that for a long period of time. Do not undereat. It will kill your metabolism, halt your progress. Like I said, start with your food as high as possible. Do not fear carbs. Carbs are not your enemy. I hear all the time, I'm carb sensitive. I'm carb sensitive. Well, how do you know you are? Have you ever tried to eat carbs the right way, center them around your workout, and eat smart? So do not fear carbs. Your body will thank you in the long run. Do not change your training. High reps will not create more definition. It's a myth. What you did to build the muscle, continue to do it. Do not neglect presentation, posing, color, and trunks. There's many different tanning options you can use: spray tan, dream tan, pro tan, Jantana. That's a personal preference. I know judges have their preference as well, but go with what looks best on you. Make sure you take care of your skin. When you're getting ready to tan, make sure you exfoliate. The week of your show, make sure your guys and girls, make sure your shaving is done several weeks in advance and your skin's ready for that. Obviously there'll be chemicals in all of your tans, so take care of yourself, take care of your skin. Do not cut water or sodium leading into contest day. When a lot of people do it, you're gonna be flat. If you cut your water now, get your water back in. Sodium too. You need water and sodium to fill your muscles up. Water, sodium, and carbs. So I'm not gonna go too much into that, but it will make you flat if you cut them out. If you look great a few weeks out from your show, don't make a bunch of crazy changes either. Just be smart. Like I said, look at your pictures. If you had a high carb day, 2 days later you look phenomenal, you might want to front load. Make sure the carbs are in and you look good. Just continue to do what you've been doing if you look good. Obviously, if you don't, you're going to have to make some changes. I touched on the do not blow up too much post-show. A few days are all right. Make sure you're smart after that and you try to go back into the reverse dieting. Like I said, it's key, and I'm not a great example of it, but try your best, do what you can do, especially if you plan on competing again. It will the more you put on, the harder it's going to be. My wife always says, every time you take a bite of a candy bar, think, God, I'm going to have to work this off. Because you will, it'll have to come off. Kind of touched on it a little bit, and I won't talk too much about it, but there's 2 different kinds of peaks. Front load basically means you're loading carbs through midweek in the front of the week, tapering them off, and then loading them back up show day. This is probably the safest, less stressful, a little easier if you don't have a coach. The back load requires carb depletion during peak week, and then you load carbs on Friday, Saturday, whatever your system is. This is a more risky approach, especially without proper knowledge, and I suggest having a coach unless you have a ton of experience with that. I use both methods with clients, just kind of depending on the person, the situation. several different factors. And in closing, I feel a great prep coach can make a huge difference. I've done it without and with, and you just need another set of eyes, in my opinion, to really, if you want to go to the next level, because there is another level. People I recommend are Cliff Wilson, John Gorman, Lane Norton, Paul Ravela's great, DeNovo, Ben Escrow, DeNovo Nutrition, 3DMJ, and of course Ahlstrom Fitness. I think, like I said, a great prep coach is key, really, to take you to the next level. So, any questions? No questions. Perfect. All right. Like I said, I've got a handout here if anybody wants. Just a simple outline of some do's, some don'ts. Maybe it'll help you out.